All right, greetings all. It's Max and we're back, and today we're going to take a look at some crypto stuff. Market's down again. Sort of, it was kind of expected. But there are some other things going on. I think there's some big coordinated pushes to keep the price low for a variety of reasons we'll get into. But one of the reasons that it is going to go down is because China is going after miners. And so a lot of mining corporations and mining companies over there are switching from China to someplace slightly more free if they can, right? And one of the big negative things that people have to say about Bitcoin is that, well, like 30% of all the mining is done in China, so it's controlled by China. And it's like, it's not controlled by China. They just happen to do a lot of the mining. China is a very big country, and they're communist, bad people. And, you know, it's sort of a thing that, yeah, okay, China is heavily involved in crypto, but now they're supposedly shutting down their mining operations, which I don't believe for a second. But that's a good thing, because then China no longer has that 30% of the Bitcoin mining going on in their country. And that just means it's going to go to other places. Now, what people don't understand is that when the mining hash rate of all the miners all over the world are all gathered together, you have a hash rate of all this computing power that is creating Bitcoins, you know, one every 10 minutes or something. Well, if all of a sudden 20% of that gets cut off and you no longer have that computing power, like what's going on in China, Bitcoin is programmed, it's configured to then adjust the hash rate and how hard the algorithm is to the computers that are left. So it doesn't make any difference. It takes, I think, 2 weeks for it to do that. So for the period of about 2 weeks, the price could go down a little bit because it doesn't have the hash rate there. And that way that affects the speed that transactions are processed. But it's temporary. And it's a good thing that miners are getting out of China. You kind of don't want China involved in anything. But I don't really buy that for a second. Every time that there's a coordinated push to try and push Bitcoin price down, they always go to China. Last time they tried to push the Bitcoin price down, China came out with an announcement, we're banning Bitcoin. It's like they ban Bitcoin about every 6 to 8 months, right? It's just something they do to put out in the news to make a headline. They're not banning Bitcoin. The government is very involved in Bitcoin. They just don't want their people to have Bitcoin. And when you have corporations or companies or whatever over there that are mining Bitcoin, the Chinese government can't confiscate it. They can confiscate the mining rigs and stuff, but they can't get the wallet unless the owners of the corporation hand it over. That is why Bitcoin is important. That is why it is a freedom deal. China doesn't like it because they just released their New World Order token for China. And they want the people to use that crypto coin, and they don't want people to have private access to any sort of freedom whatsoever. And one of the things, I think that this mining thing is more just a fear and uncertainty doubt, a FUD campaign. But there are some people, I don't know why you would mine in China for starters. I mean, if you're a Chinese company who can't get out of China, I see that. But as far as people who have the ability to go someplace else, why wouldn't you just go someplace else? At the end of the day, it's not a big deal. If they shut down 90% of their mining, good. Then they can go to Texas. They can go to America. That's a good thing. And anybody who is invested in Bitcoin, this affects them not at all. As in, not at all. All right. If you're a person who is running an exchange of some sort, this might have some impact, maybe, but it doesn't affect somebody who is invested into Bitcoin. And there is apparently 10 or 20 different articles that come out today that are negative ad campaigns against Bitcoin. So there is something going on. I also do want to, and this is a buying time, guys. This is the time to buy. Everybody with any money, any rich person, any billionaire, any bankster, any hedge fund, they are buying. If you look, If I would be logged into Coinbase, it tells you what the percentages is of to buy to sell ratios. And for Bitcoin, it is at 75% buy. I've never seen it that high. All right. It's the time to buy. People who know, buy. All right. So that's what's going on there. And that's nothing to be concerned about. The negative campaign has lasted a little longer than I kind of anticipated. It's been going on for like a month and a half now, which is like, if it hasn't, all of the people who are willing to sell have already left. The people here are here because they understand what it is. And the rich people who are buying very much understand that this is a freedom game. The old system, nobody needs banks. Okay? Nobody needs banks anymore. The old system, where everybody is a slave to the US dollar, is going bye-bye. And yeah, you might want to set yourself up for the future. It's just my opinion on that. And get yourself some Bitcoin. And as far as these other cryptocurrencies, just don't even think about them. If you're not already involved in the cryptocurrency market and already know kind of what you're doing, you do not even consider anything else other than Bitcoin. All right. So I want to look at something here. I want to look at an article here, and this is from a long time ago. A long time is in January, right? Look at the headline. Another 13 million US dollar coins minted at USDC Treasury as market waits bulls. So much like your Federal Reserve worthless dollars that they just type into a computer, Federal Reserve says, oh, okay, we're inventing some more money for you. We'll invent a couple more $1 trillion for you, right? They invent US dollar coins. And the reason the governments don't like crypto is because you can track it. It's a two-edged sword. As I'd always said, the people who hate Bitcoin are like, you can track it. Well, the government doesn't want to be tracked either. So here we have a big headline for 13 million, which is nothing, peanuts, minted for their US dollar coins. And this is what exchanges use when you want to liquidate something that you purchased and you want dollars to go to your bank account. Or on Coinbase, if you transfer from a token to an unlike token, right? So if I go from Bitcoin to Ethereum, I have to go through US dollar coin first. Coinbase just makes it easy and it doesn't tell you. But if you go onto a more professional trading site or Coinbase Pro, you have to sell your Bitcoin and then sell it to US dollars or something, and then turn around and buy Ethereum. Some other exchanges, decentralized exchanges, will allow you to do that transaction without going to US dollars, but not all of them. And it isn't very common. Why there's a million different exchanges out there to do all these things. So you always have to go through US dollar coins, and there has to be US dollar coins available. So this is a big deal to have 13 million US dollar coins minted, which means they went into the computer and just created them. Okay, much like XRP guys, much like Ethereum, much like Cardano, much like all of these other tokens that say that they're just as good as Bitcoin. You just go in there and it would just create some more. Okay, now make a big deal and a big thing about US dollar coins being minted. Well, they're being tracked by Whale Alert. And anyone who's been into crypto knows what this is. When there's big movements by large amounts of money, more than like $10 million, it comes up on a Whale Alert tweet. It's an automated system. And you can see where the big players are moving stuff around. All right. You notice on Whale Alert's already also tracking the USDC Treasury. And we'll look at what's happened in the last day. Okay. 25 million created from the US Treasury out of thin air. 45 million created out of thin air a couple of minutes later. Couple of minutes before that, 55 million created. Before that, 64 million created. This is all the same hour, right? Where is all this stuff going, right? There was another one on here that was 75 million that went through yesterday. So there's some big movements going on where they need the dollar tokens in order to do whatever they're doing. All right. what would require hundreds of millions of US dollar coins all of a sudden need to be poofed into existence on a Sunday evening? Okay. I don't know. There's probably some other crypto people out there who understand what's going on with all of this stuff, but it's like, if before they were making a big deal out of just, $10 million being put into the system, how come in one day you've got at least $500 million being created from the US Treasury to be put on these exchanges? That's the only use for a US dollar coin. What's the purpose? And, the idea behind cryptocurrency is a hedge against inflation, against your US dollars and other things. But understand that the crypto market can be controlled and manipulated too using the US dollars, because it's the world currency. Okay? It's, for right now, it's the world currency. And until there's more El Salvadors who come out and start pegging a standard to Bitcoin and basing even whatever their country's currency is on the value of Bitcoin, on digital gold, it's going to be a US dollar coin, and things can be manipulated. But here's the thing. If Bitcoin, goes to zero, is that relative to the dollar, which is worthless anyway? Or if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, that's relative to the dollar, which would be worthless. I mean, everybody knows Bitcoin is going to 1 million, because everybody knows the US dollar is going to fail. Okay? Might take $1 million to buy a loaf of bread. You don't know. I don't think personally it's going to get that bad. I think that they'll swap it out with the new system before then. But when the US dollar days are done for being a global currency, the price of Bitcoin to US dollars is not going to matter. And people know this, and this is like whale alerts. People been buying on here, and it doesn't, unfortunately, show up into the prices because they have so much money that they go straight to the exchange and they buy directly off the exchange. There is no recording for anybody to know about because it's done from private entity to private entity. It's not done on a trading, because when you go up to an exchange, you are trading from somebody, you are buying from somebody who is selling. Whereas the big boys, they go right to the exchange that's sitting on 1,000 Bitcoin and go, I'll give you $5,000 over the price to buy all of your Bitcoin, right? And then that transaction is done and it never hits the market, never hits the exchange, so the price stays the same, even though that Bitcoin has been sold. And there's a lot of that going on. We'll look at the derivatives of Bitcoin. Derivative exchanges is what this is when somebody short sells or longs, whatever, Bitcoin, they're borrowing. Okay, it's a derivative of Bitcoin. They're not actually owning the Bitcoin. They're borrowing the Bitcoin. And you notice that for right now, for this period, what your actual, basically the reserves are tapped out. I mean, they're leveraging as much as they can so that they can sell and 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 sell. Sell. So that they can keep the price of Bitcoin low. Short it. Okay? That's the whole game is about. And the derivatives kind of act just perfectly. It goes completely way up at the same time as the market crashed. And that's the whole game. It's pure manipulation. Again, we can look at, this is another example of the exchange's inflow. When we had our big crash, here's where our big spike is. We went over what the shorts were for like the last weekend, and they were pegged. They were like $1 trillion in shorts. That's the game they want to play. And what it means to you is you get a good deal on some Bitcoin. That's what it means. All right. And they can bring Bitcoin down to 20,000. I'll buy more. I'll buy more. It's a long game. And you don't need to take my word for it. You can look at what BlackRock is doing. You can look at Michael Saylor is doing. You can look at what all the banks are doing. In 2021, we'll see hundreds of U.S. banks offer Bitcoin. Now, there was July, a lot of them were going to be doing this. So this could be preparation and accumulation for July. Could be. Because I'm guessing maybe what they'll do is, if you're not tech savvy and you don't want to go buy your own Bitcoin for 35, by the time the banks get it, it's going to be 80,000, right? If you don't want to buy in at 80,000 and host it and carry it all yourself, you can buy it through an investment firm, or you can buy it through a bank, or you can do whatever. But instead of paying 80,000, you'll pay 90,000. And then the bank will take a percentage of whatever the profits are or something like that. I mean, that's what they'll do. Otherwise, they will buy it and sell you a derivative, which is worthless. And then that'll be that, right? And then you'll have your derivative, and the price of Bitcoin will go up, and you say, I want to sell my derivative, and then they take 10% of your profit or 15% of your profit, and the bank never even had the Bitcoin to begin with, right? They're going to play the same games as what they played with dollars now. The entire economy is based on fraud, right? You go buy a house. The bank doesn't have $300,000 in cash to go buy your house. They never had the money. By the fact of you signing the mortgage, you just created the money out of thin air. Okay? And then they say they're good for it, and they wire that off to the wherever bank is you're buying the house from. Okay? It's all a fraud. Can't do that with Bitcoin. That's why it's important. Why it's important to have. But anyways, I had some people that were asking specifically about the China thing, China shut down and the price going down. And, you know, right now everybody kind of, I think, sees this as the last time where they can actually effectively control the market, especially when you have El Salvador making it legal tender. That is a huge, major problem for the world banks and other currency providers, Federal Reserve, and all these different countries. Because the International Monetary Fund that oversees all of their little banks in all the countries, they have a thing in their rules that say they have to honor what somebody's legal tender is. So El Salvador's legal tender is now Bitcoin. So the IMF is backtracking and trying to take whiteout to their rules, saying, oh, well, we don't want to take Bitcoin. We're not going to take that. We're not going to take the electronic. They're completely backed against the wall on this. And of course, governments are going to come out and not like it, depending on the government. But what you're going to find out behind the scenes is that they're trying to accumulate. And personally, I think that's what they're doing with all of these. You know, I don't have any basis really for it, other than why would they, you know, every couple of hours mint another 45 million US dollar coins if there's not a whole bunch of money getting moved around and the government's not buying? I mean, the best way to control the market, if you can't beat Bitcoin and you can't steal people's wallets and you can't shut down exchanges all over the country that are dealing in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, what you can do is, while your money has value, is try and accumulate as much as you can, because it doesn't cost anything, right? You just make in your US dollar tokens in the computer system, and then you go to the exchange and buy everything, and then you use that to try and shake people out of the market. And in the meantime, you're accumulating too at the same time. It's what it looks like to me. And you notice with the privacy concerns here, what people have about Bitcoin, it's not very private. You can track where transactions are going. This is where Whale Alert gets their information from, just looking at the blockchain, right? But you notice it says transferred from unknown wallet to unknown wallet. So you know money is moving, you just don't know where. But if it's a government institution, it says U.S. Treasury. So when you have U.S. Treasury alerts come up that go, we created so-and-so coins, move to unknown wallet or something, you know, government doesn't like to be tracked. Government doesn't like to be tracked. So that's it with cryptocurrency news. Like I said, I'd be mining myself right now if I wasn't afraid of burning up my video card. You know, I mean, it's a good time to get into mining. And, you know, there actually are a lot of environmental, you could be an Elon Musk, where your entire income could become off environmental loans, right? If you mine Bitcoin and you do it on a wind farm or something, or set up something that is an environmentally friendly project, then the government will help you pay for it, right? So there you go. There you go. A lot of people are doing that in Texas. Texas has opened their arms and said, hey, come here. We'll help you out. Miami and Florida, they're big into Bitcoin. Now, it doesn't matter what the price does. Okay. Countries are behind it. States are behind it. All right. It's going to be where the future is going. If you want to preserve any sovereignty at all over your life and over your finances and over your future and over your wealth, over everything, if you want to retain any, you need to understand or learn about and figure out what's going on with cryptocurrency. Otherwise, you won't be able to complain to anybody when you're stuck with your Federal Reserve crypto, right? Which is coming. It is coming. You're going to be stuck with your Federal Reserve crypto that loses and gains value from one day to the next. All the stores are going to have digital price readers where nobody actually knows what the actual true cost is of anything. Completely manipulated and completely crazy. One Bitcoin's always going to be worth one Bitcoin. It doesn't matter where on the earth you go. And same message as last week. Now is the time. This is accumulate. The whole rest of this year should be accumulate. You're not looking to flip anything, to trade anything, to do this, to do that. The whole market is down. And for everybody who is very enthusiastic about side projects and side cryptos, like XRP and Ethereum and all these other ones, they're all worthless next to Bitcoin. The only reason they exist is because Bitcoin exists. So you better hope that Bitcoin hangs in there and does well. So if you're a fan of Ethereum or you're a fan of XRP, that those places even have a market. Because on the incredibly almost impossible thing that Bitcoin fails, all 6,000 other coins are going to fail with it. And that is the goal of the people who want to keep you slaved. Okay, that's the goal. But seeing as how all of the guys who own all of the money and own all of the stuff and own the monopoly system are all buying Bitcoin, it's probably a good idea if you did too. Just allegedly, maybe, could be, probably. I know what I'm doing. All right. And I think with that, we are going to be out of here.